Hi, and we are live for Get Off Your Butt. So, if you're here, I really appreciate you taking the time to show up tonight. And if you would be so kind just to tell us where you're calling in from and maybe a little bit about yourself and what you're looking to get from this evening's or depending on where you are, today's webinar. So, my name is Dr. Barbara Schwark, and I've been coaching for 25 years. And one of my goals and my passion has been to assist people to really get off their butt. And I have a special coaching technique and that goes deep, and I help people find out what's holding them back, whether that's beliefs, whether that's values and intention and goals that are not lined up. But from where I look, it's all about alignment, because once you're aligned, once you're clear about what you want, whether that's a physical thing or whether that's an emotional thing, and you align the two of them, and there's nothing in your subconscious and unconscious that's holding you back, then you're really unstoppable. And we're going to unravel that. We're going to take a look. I have a PowerPoint that I presented for you, I prepared for you today. And we're going to go through it, and it's going to have a lot of tips and information for you. If some of it is repetitive, come to it with a new eye, with a new ear, and see how it applies to you right now in your life, in your business. Perhaps both of those areas you feel a little sluggish. We live in Israel, and certainly it's been super, super challenging for us in the last 4 months, and including myself. So to be honest here, it's hampered my productivity because there's so much stress that we're all experiencing. So, but even in stressful times, we need to figure out how to get off the butt, how to move forward, and how to do it with gratitude, with ease, with kindness, and not with pressure, because that's how so many of us have usually done it. So let's get started. And I'm going to share with you my PowerPoint. So get off your butt. I just introduced myself to you. If you have, if you're curious, if you want to learn more about me, just go on my website, clearintentions.net, or my LinkedIn profile, and you can find out all the kind of stuff that I'm doing. So our agenda for tonight is I want to take a look at what is really going on, because this sluggishness comes from somewhere, and it's not just that we're lazy or that we don't want to. So the more information that we actually have about it, the easier it is for us to deal with it. So I want to look at that, what's going on. I have this the sentence that I call digging for gold. I want to look at the setup so that you can be really successful when you want to accomplish something. We're going to spend a little bit of time on showstoppers, look at healthy habits, and then, woohoo, yeah, the big hooray. How do we put it all together and be successful? So when you find yourself sluggish, or you're not doing something, or you're not moving yourself forward in the way that you want to, I invite you to take a look to see what's really going on. Are the goals too large? In other words, are they completely unrealistic because you want to grow 3 feet and that's just not possible? Or you want to change your eye color, which that is actually possible. Or you want to lose 50 pounds in 5 minutes, or you want to grow your business by tenfold in 3 months. So those are usually indications, if it's not 50% realistic, that the goal is just too large, and that you are actually not set up to accomplish it. So I want you to be honest with yourself, because if you have this feeling of, oh my God, I'm going to die, or I just get really nervous about it, then I'm going to suggest to you that it's not a good goal, and that you need to come back to the drawing board and see how you can or need to refine it. Sometimes we have a goal and we just don't want it anymore. It's just because my neighbor had it, or I wanted it 10 years ago, and I always wanted to get that PhD. And actually, if I really look at it, it's not that important to me anymore. So again, you want to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, do I really still want that goal? And if you don't want that goal, then check it off and say, I'm done with that. I've moved on. I want something different. And sometimes that happens very quickly, because if you're really connected to your values and who you are and what's important to you, small goals can actually change very quickly. And that's okay, because you're after the bigger picture. And the small goals are helping you to go towards something that is in the future. Are you really behind your goals? And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Do they match your values? Do you even know what your values are? So if you don't, you want to take some time to figure that out. If there's a mismatch, there's what we call unconscious wants and conscious wants. If they don't go together, then you're going to have a hard time. Do you have the kind of support? If you are taking care of an elderly parent, like I was a couple months ago while I was back in Germany, maybe that's not the time for me to make my million because I'm busy with something else. Do you have the support in your family? Do you have friends? Do you have a coach? Do you have somebody that you're working with that's standing behind you and supporting it all the time? So those are other things that you want to check out. And then what about your self-talk? What is it? Is it a positive self-talk or is it a negative? And most of us actually have a very negative self-talk. Why? Because that's what we grew up with. That's what we used to. That's what society is telling us. And so it goes something like, I can't, I'm not good enough, you will never be, it's too hard, etc., etc., etc. And oftentimes we're not even aware that we have that negative talk. So what are we left with? Missed opportunities, unfinished projects, for some of us, reputation damage. It's like, oh, we know Barbara's never going to be on time. We've heard that a million times and she's not doing it. We're going to have stress. We're going to have anxiety. We're going to waste resources. You can see on the personal end, relationship strain. Actually, that could happen as work as well. Personal dissatisfaction, missed important milestones in your life, and impact on the team dynamic. So there's a lot of negative things that happen. And oftentimes they all boil down to low self-esteem. So at the end of the day, we feel bad about ourselves and we ask ourselves, what are we doing? And the more that goes on, the louder the conversation gets and the harder it is for us to pick ourselves up. But we have to, we want to. We are here to make things happen. That's why you're on the planet. You're here to live your greatness. And so you need to find a way to pick yourself up. So what is really going on here? I told you I wanted to take a look at this. And in my opinion, all the things that we're talking about are connected to the brain. And the brain, I know, is responsible for everything. It's responsible for why you're here, why you fell in love, why you moved to Israel, or why you live where you live, or what you do, all the things that you decided upon, including all the muscle movement, the breathing, all those things that happen automatically. Everything is controlled by the brain. Now, I'm going to do a little brain surgery. I promise it won't hurt and it will be quick, but it will give you a point of view and a reference from where I am coming from. Now, when we look at the brain, and this is easy, and I'm not a neuroscientist, so I'm going to keep it very high level and very simple. When we look at the brain, we basically have three parts. We have the neocortex, we have the limbic system, and we have the reptilian system. And I'm going to briefly explain the parts, and then I'm going to tell you why that is important. So the neocortex is the part of the brain where all the intellectual functions are happening. I'm talking about language. I'm talking about analytics. I'm talking about thinking about things, visualizations. We need language. We need words, because you can't be thinking of and dreaming of going on a cruise when you don't have words. You need those words. So all those things happen in the neocortex, and the neocortex is the only part of the brain that you can actually control. So supposedly we can control what comes out of our mouth. We can stop our thinking, we can start our thinking, and you all know how hard it is to direct and control your thinking. Next part of the brain is actually subconscious. That means we can't control it. It's not optional for us. We can't direct it. We can direct what we do afterwards, but we can't, put it on, put it off, turn it on, all those kind of things. And that's the limbic system. The limbic system produces all the emotion, meaning every emotion that you experience is a biochemical chain reactions, and it happens in the limbic system. The limbic system is all over your body, meaning it's from the toes to the hands to the heart to the head. It's everywhere. And it's automatic and it's repetitive, and it's basically something that's based on a pattern, on a response that you had at some point in your life. And usually that happened early on. So let's say something happened to me and the color orange was involved, and it was a positive experience. When I see the color orange, I will most likely have a positive experience. And let's say something happened with red, it was bad, then most likely I will have a negative response. And I might not understand why, because we keep these things hidden. So when you walk into a room and you see somebody and you look at them and you're like, oh my God, I love this person, and they didn't even say anything, it's usually because the reptilian system has a positive response to them, and same vice versa. So that's the reptilian. It's what we call subconscious. And then we have the reptilian. Sorry, I think I just said that was the limbic. So now we have the reptilian. The reptilian is fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, we all know this. And those of us who had a lot of trauma, or living in areas and countries where there's a lot of trauma going on, there's a lot of fight, flight, or freeze going on. Israel, I think right now there's a lot of fight going on. There's a lot of aggression that we see. There's a lot of road rage that we see. And it's normal because people are experiencing trauma and it has to come out somehow. So this part is totally in our unconscious, meaning we can't control it. It's deep down there. And we usually want to keep it deep down there because it's unpleasant. And it's just very much like in nature. What's happened in nature is, we either fight, the lion, or we run away, the gazelle, or we play dead, like the chameleon. So human beings are very much like animals in that sense, that we like to protect ourselves. Now, the difference between the limbic and the reptilian is that the limbic is subconscious, and that means that it's like a beach ball. When I push it down, I put pressure on it, it stays down. But as soon as I remove the pressure, it comes right back up. So, a lot of us, we do kind of avoidance behaviors kind of things. We watch TV, we now even say Netflix, or we Google, or we drink wine, or whatever it is that we do. It could also be that you're a workaholic. It's a way to keep it down. And the reptilian is deep down there because we really don't want to get to it. Now, the problem is that when we have a goal and there's a misalignment between those areas, we are going to find ourselves somehow, somewhere stuck, because the unconscious will always win. So, for example, if I want to grow my business and it sounds good and everything looks good, and my emotions are kind of maybe even a little wishy-washy, but my unconscious says that's dangerous because you want to keep your cushy life, and now you might work a lot, which means you can't have your lunches anymore. I'm going to do things to derail myself. And it might be very subtle, or it might be obvious. Other examples could be, I want to lose weight, and my unconscious will say no, because then you will be attractive. And while that's maybe something that you want, that's something scary. So I'm using some pretty obvious examples, but you can see how that can come into play everywhere. For those of you who have kids, oftentimes what happens is that the limbic and the reptilian kick up as soon as we want them to do something. And then we have intellectual conversations with them, which they don't work because that's not where they're at. So for those of you who are parents, talk with your kids on the level that they're at. The same as for employees or colleagues. When you see somebody who's very emotional, you actually don't want to have an intellectual conversation, but match their emotions, ask them what's going on, and see how you can assist them that way. So we are stuck and we're not getting off the butt because there's some misalignment, and we often don't even know what it is. So here's my levels of awareness, and you can see that's a little bit like the iceberg. So the conscious level, that smart part, the intellectual part, that I give so much weight because I think if I tell myself something that it should happen immediately, is only maybe 12%. Actually, they say more like 10 or 9%. And the rest, my subconscious and my unconscious level is where a lot of my my goals and my desires are being derailed. So take this into consideration, and I want you to start looking through this lens. Oh, why am I not getting off my butt? Oh, maybe there's something interfering. Maybe I have like mixed goals, or I give myself mixed messages. A little bit more about the brain. So most of you remember Pavlov. He was the guy that trained the dogs. He conditioned the dogs, and he conditioned them so that when he would ring the bell, the dog would salivate without food. Now, what they don't tell you about this experiment is that eventually the conditioned response went away, but only in the healthy dogs. So I always like to joke and say, how healthy are we? When the dog was abused or the dog had some trauma, they couldn't go back. Once they were conditioned, they were conditioned. So it's really important to understand that a brain or a person that had some trauma, and trauma can be, my mother went back to work when I was 6 years old, and she wasn't available to me the way she was. Or when I was 3 years old, my little brother was born, and all of a sudden, all the attention went to him. Those are all traumatic events. So when we talk about trauma could be, some horrendous things that have happened to us, or it could be, it's on a scale of a continuum. Or it could be, my mom went to work. Some more information about the brain. There's a famous lady, Dr. Candace Pert, and she wrote a book called The Molecule of Emotion. And she was the one that discovered that emotions are biochemical chain reactions, and they're all over our body. So it's like not just in our heart, because you know how we like to point to our heart. But it's not just there, it's everywhere. So I can have an emotional response in my toe, really, like I said, in my little finger. And so the body is experiencing that all over. Last but not least, there is Randy Flanagan from Canada. And he looked at the human brain, and he found out that we're super slow, meaning we're super slow to change. We're super slow to adapt because we do everything by assimilation. What happens in our brain is when there's a new situation, we go into the past, we look to see if that was successful. Let's say I'm going through a door and I've never been through this door. I check it out in the past, in my brain. Was it safe? Was it not safe? And then if it was a good, safe event, I get the information and I figure out how to do it. So all that happens super, super, super fast. Okay, so I just told you that. So how do we get started? So we're stuck, right? And it's like, I don't know where to get started. There's many, many things that we can do. And here's an exercise for you. And if you signed up, we're going to send you the recording, so you will have this information. But there's a simple exercise that you can do, and it's super, super powerful. And I did it a few days ago with my coaching group. So basically, you start with a brain dump. And a brain dump is where you take 5, 10, 15 minutes and you write down all the things that are unfinished, from getting an oil change to going to get the doctor's appointment to what are with those flight vouchers that are 4 months old. Today, I was like, when are you going to call the physical therapist? And make a decision of which person you're going to go to. So I did that. So you make a list of all the things that are unfinished. Okay. Once you have that list done, you look over the list and you declare the things that you're not going to do ever. You just declare them done. That doctoral degree, I'm just not going to do it. Learning Spanish, I've been thinking about for the last 10 years. Or going to India, it's not happening. So you just cross it off your list. And you're serious with that, because it's like you want to complete it. And you can complete it by just saying, I'm not doing it. I'm done with it. So then you go look at your list again. And then you look to see which are the things that you can delegate. And delegate means you can hire somebody. You can ask somebody to do it. And any way that you can think of getting somebody else involved. You can even ask somebody to help you, which is, kind of delegation. but oftentimes it would involve asking somebody to do it for you or hiring somebody to do it for you. Okay? So you look to see what you can delegate and you cross those off. And then you have this list and you look to see, what am I going to do in the next 30 days? Which one of those items am I seriously actually going to do something with? And I want you to write the top 10 things down. And once you have your top 10 things, I want you to prioritize them, and I want to have you assign time values. This is the secret, by the way, to assign time values, because you can have something on your list which is like, oh, I want to finish my book. And it's going to take you, I don't know, 6 months to do it or 2 years to do it. So it's very, very important that you're realistic about it and you kind of guesstimate, how long it's going to take you to do it. So once you have that, you look at the list and you say, all right, next week, which one of these items, 1 or 2, maybe 3, am I going to tackle? And you see what comes up, and maybe it's like changing your oil, upgrading your hardware on your computer, and make an appointment with the physical therapist. And then I want you to look and see how you need to show up. Who do you need to be in order to be able to do it? Do you need to be courageous? Do you need to be committed? Do you need to be strong? Do you need to be faithful? Whatever it takes for you, I want you to think about, what are your interpersonal qualities that you have that will allow you to show up for yourself and do it. Not forever. I'm just saying for 1 week, okay? So you write those things down, you keep them present somewhere, and then go into the conversation that I think is like very valuable here, and it's like extra points. I want you to look to see what could possibly derail you. And I want you to have a conversation with yourself. And it can't be external things. It's got to be internal things, because it's not, it's raining outside and I can't go outside. No, I really want you to have an honest conversation with yourself about what will derail me, and then have that conversation and then see what you need to do in order to re-rail yourself. Get back on the horse, get back on that train, and so that you can continue. And that will be the ticket for you to win. So that's a very easy sort of recipe to get started, and has these action steps. And if you want me to send them to you, just reach out. Okay, so let's say I have a bigger goal that I'm working on. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about appropriate setup. I need to make sure that the bigger goals that I'm working on, it's the right time, that I have a clear intentions. Clear intention for me is obviously important because I named my company after it. But what I mean by it is the notion of the experience that you want to have. What's the feeling that you want to have when you do this? It's not just to check off your list. It's like, why are you doing this? To look good? Or is it because you want to be happy or content? Or what is it that you're after? There's usually an emotional consequence, something that you want. And so that's the intention. That's the qualitative part of your goal. So think about it. You need that. And then I want you to look at your values and see if there's alignment, and then make sure that you have realistic goals. So that's a good setup to get started. And then I want you to look to see, like we just did with the derail conversation, if there are showstoppers. Is there lack of clarity, lack of motivation, overwhelm? Are you a procrastinator? Are you a perfectionistic kind of person? It always has to be perfect, perfect, perfect. And you have unrealistic expectations. Are you afraid to fail? Poor accountability. These are, by the way, also things that can help you when you have your derail conversation. So you want to see where you are, and be, once again, honest with yourself and see what do I need to do? And so that's not going to come into play, or when it comes into play, so that I can recognize it and then just go back and keep moving. So I'm going to stop at procrastination for a moment, because that's a big one and a lot of people talk about it. And procrastination is something that shows up because I think it's an outlet for many things. So here are some things that you can do with yourself that will help you to deal with it. First of all, it's important to have clear goals. And it's very important that you take small steps, baby steps. And so that the steps are so small that every time that you accomplish the step, that you actually, you can do it. So it's like brushing my teeth tonight. Do I know that I can do it? Yes. Will I do it? Yes. Is there something that could possibly derail me? No, I have everything I need to do it. So it's like that simple. And then we build upon that. So microscopic steps, or 3-foot toss. 3-foot toss is this analogy of I have a basketball and I want to shoot it, and it's the basket is so close that I could basically put the ball into the basket. You want to prioritize, you want to assign time values, you want to define your deadlines, and definitely reward yourself for small wins. We make this mistake that we just push ourselves all the time. Go, 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 go. And then we're like, no wins. It's like, oh, okay, that was nice. Keep going. No, be nice to yourself. Get excited and reward yourself for the stuff that you actually did. And visualize your success. Close your eyes and see yourself winning. We had a meeting yesterday at school, and my son's teacher is going on maternity leave for a few months. And it's a lot of concern. And, my point of view is they did the best they could. They couldn't find somebody that wanted to take over this class for a few months. And now I just need all the parents to close their eyes and together visualize that it will be a success, a giant success. And there's a little bit of a back story to it, but still, it's like, where are we going to go? We're going to go up. And I think that is something that can be very powerful. And last but not least, love yourself. When you fail, be kind to yourself, because you are going to fail. You are going to mess up. You are going to have a day where you won't follow through. That's normal. So just build this into your expectation, and that things are not always going to go smoothly. Oh, yes. A lot of us have fear of failure. So fear of failure is something that is prevalent, and it's often because of what I talked about earlier. The unconscious part of the brain comes from limiting beliefs, our upbringing, childhood, past failures, comes from comparison, comes from negative self-talk, and it comes from a lack of confidence. So all those things can be very real, and I don't want to make light of them. But when you allow yourself to sort of lean into it a little bit and say, yeah, okay, let me just see how I can possibly be different with this. How can I possibly be kinder? And what kind of support do I need? And so that I can embrace this, it will actually help those of you who are so frightened to move forward and even take a baby step, because, you don't want to make a mistake. So you need to have the support with you so that you can know that there's a net, somebody's going to catch you. And it makes a much, much, much better experience. It's oftentimes why people hire a coach. Poor accountability. So this is another derailer, and it's important that you work with yourself on that. So if you have been somebody who's not really accountable, one of the ways that you can start is by making less agreements, or agree only to things that you can actually handle. So things like I'm going to be doing 10 things today might be a totally overcommitment. I like to sit down in the morning and look to see what are the things that I want to get done, and then commit to them, and only commit to those things. And some days I commit to very few things, because I know I'm not in the space to do 25 things. And then some other days I feel like very productive. So what's important is that if you have poor accountability and a poor connection with your word, including things like I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to go on a diet, or I'm going to exercise, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, then it's important that you stop and don't commit, and look and see what's going on. Look at the limiting beliefs, realign yourself, rewire yourself, and then see when you're ready to commit. So here's some healthy habits that really help you to stay in action and to get in action. And obviously, nothing is a secret. Good time management, positive self-talk, creating a good support system, being flexible, and having good agility, celebrating the small wins, and discipline and keeping your word. And by the way, I didn't say this, but we have this little, I don't know, person inside of our head and keeps track of when we keep our word and we don't. And I want to say that every time that you keep your word, that your self-confidence, your self-esteem actually goes up. So watch that. Watch a week of you always, every day, keeping your word and see how you feel about yourself. I used to do a lot of organizing and planning. So I wanted to talk a little bit about planning. And planning is really good because it helps you to make room for the things that you want to do. And so sometimes it's like, oh, I don't have time. I can't do this. I can't get off my butt because I don't have time. So think about how much time you do have this week and think about what's important. And the time value is really a secret. So you want to assign the time value and scheduling. So then put it in your schedule. When are you going to do it? From 9 to 10, 10 to 12. And make sure that you don't schedule all your time and that you make time for the unforeseen. But it's important that if you want to move forward with something, that you say, okay, I'm just going to do it 15 minutes and I'm going to do it from 9 to 9:15. And that would be a microscopic step. And that would be a win that you can celebrate. And that would count for you to be off your butt. So then you have daily planning, of course. How much time do I have today? Same thing. And I always say, if something got rescheduled several times, then it becomes a priority. Okay. All right, let's go talk a little bit about positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is a really great motivator to get us off our butt. Why? Because affirmations change the way that we think and we feel. It changes our neuroplasticity. It changes the way the neuropeptides work. Vision boards, that's a two-dimensional representation of the things that you want. Ideal scenes, that's a tool that I use with my coaching group where you get to make statements about the things that you want. You can record your ideal vision. So there's all kinds of tools that you can do. You can listen to it. You can record affirmations and then listen to them while you're driving or while you're falling asleep. All that will help you to reprogram yourself. I know sometimes, people say to me, oh my God, it takes forever. It might be true, but still it's going to make a difference. And one day you'll find that maybe it was that day that you said your affirmation only once and it made a huge difference for you. So you definitely want to look at that and start to get some clarity on where do I want to move myself. You want to have a good support system. So a coaching group is great. A coach is great. There's friends, family, co-workers, workout buddy, all those types of things will help you. I go to Ulpan it's a language course every week with other people because that's the framework that I created for myself. And so that's helping me to learn Hebrew better. And if I wouldn't go to Ulpan, I probably wouldn't do it on my own. So I'm going to a class that I'm paying. By the way, it's a really good tip. If you want to lose weight and you want to do it with a class, pay for the app, pay for the class, have a workout buddy because most of us, we don't want to waste our money. So then we have an extra motivator to go. So these are all good things that will help you. Okay, so I talked about this digging for gold, finding misalignments. And it's a really important thing because a lot of the work that I do is I help people rewire themselves and look for these unconscious limiting beliefs like we're not good enough or we can't do it or it's too hard. And so what you do want to do is you want to take some time and to identify your values. Who am I? What's important to me? And you don't want to have a laundry list. You want to have 3 to 5, no more than that. You want to set some goals. You want to identify your intentions, and all that needs to flow together. And you want to take action. Then you want to adjust. You want to see, is that action good? Is that working for me? And then you want to celebrate. On the other hand, on the other side, you have these unconscious and conscious wants. You want to make sure, is what I want, is it really what I want? Is it lining up with my value? Unconsciously, what's holding me back? What's holding me back? Am I sabotaging are my beliefs sabotaging me? Am I sabotaging myself? I want to look at this concept called the gremlin, which is this kind of nagging, inner voice that we have that constantly tells us something like, don't step outside the comfort zone, it's too dangerous, or stay small, and it comes from loss aversion, which says, it's a rule that comes from the time of the caveman. It's safer to stay inside. So we're 2 to 3 times more likely to hold on to old crabbity, moldy berries, to be hungry, to starve, than to go out and let go and get something new. So you want to take a look at getting to the bottom of what's really holding you back. So one of the ways I do it, it's called neuroemotional coaching. It changes responses to circumstance, to event. It reduces the negative triggers when you take action permanently, really, because of the way that I work. And it covers your blind spots using muscle testing. And it brings this incredible freedom, clarity, calmness to all the things that you're doing. So I've been doing this for 25 years. It's remarkable. It's amazing. If you're curious about it, let me know. I'm happy to tell you more about it. But it's just, I think, the best thing since sliced bread. And it's an amazing way to get free and move forward really, really, really fast. Okay, we have 8 more minutes. So I want to just take a moment to talk a little bit about one of the action steps that you can take. So I have a coaching group for women coming up. I will do one for men as well, but so far it's mainly women that are interested in this. I've done this now several times. I have one going on right now, and the next one will happen in February. So I just want to talk a little bit about what's it not. It's not the tip of the day. It's not, okay, $39, or, hey, I found, what did I read today? Hey, I got 45,000 Facebook followers in 2 months, and I sold $1 million in 2 months on Instagram. So it's not that. And if you want my course, you can have it for free right now, because next month I'm going to charge. It's not what it is. It's also not if you don't want to do the work, or if you want somebody else to do it for you. That's not what the group is all about. It is a structured approach and proven method to create change in any stage of your life or your business. So sometimes there are professionals, some people have a business, some people are CEOs, some women are mothers. It doesn't really matter where you are. The goal is to move yourself from A to B. Right now, we have 3 business owners in the group. Actually, we have 4 business owners in the group, and everyone is looking to move their business or to change their business a little bit. And so it's very powerful. But at the same time, we're working on personal goals. It's a place to learn new tools, get support, step out your comfort zone, and it's a safe environment to be vulnerable and to open up and to take a look at the beliefs that are holding you back. So we do a lot of deep work where we're looking at our self-worth, we're looking at confidence, we're looking at what's it going to take for us to really be that self-empowered person. And if you've done some coaching, great. This is a deep dive into rewiring the way that you've seen and expressed yourself until now. Sometimes we do money work. Sometimes we, depending on what the group brings forward, sometimes we do, work with our family. So it can go in a wide arena. The goal is always for you to get free, for you to walk away with the things that you wanted. So it's 8 weeks. There's a workbook. There's a WhatsApp group. There's lots of support. There's little movies. And if you sign up today, I have a special price for you. It's $495. It's usually $445. If you're in Israel, there's shekels, or if you're watching this in Europe, contact me. So we have a limited spots available. There's already some people that signed up. It's going to be Tuesday evenings, Israel time, Europe time, around the lunchtime if you're from the East Coast. So I'm excited. I love doing this. If you sign up today, by the way, I'm going to give you a copy of my book. Here's some testimonials from people that have done it. We've had people from all over the world, really. We've had people from Africa. I've had people from Germany, Switzerland, United States, Israel, and usually it is a nice mix of women of all ages. So if this is something that you're curious about or it's of interest to you, let me know. If you don't feel like you want to work in a group, of course, I work one-on-one, but I also oftentimes, actually, I kind of do a little bit of both with people that I work with them one-on-one, but love groups because they are very powerful. So here's some more testimonials. So let's summarize. What did we do? We looked at getting off our butt. We looked at the unconscious, the subconscious, and we looked at the neocortex. And I talked to you about the brain to explain to you how that all works and why it's so important for you to take a look at your limiting beliefs and why it's so important for you to align yourself. And I gave you a bunch of tips about setup, about the right time, some time management. I gave you some tips about how to deal with procrastination and accountability. And I hope that all of the tips that I talked to you about, that you walk away with a sense of empowerment and the belief in yourself that you can do it. And if you feel like there's more for you to do, or you want to learn more, or you're curious, or you're interested in getting rewired, I really invite you to contact me, sign up for the group, or contact me for a free individual one-on-one session. I'd love to talk to you. I'm here for you. I love this work. I feel honored to be a coach for so many years and love to meet you. So with that, have a great evening, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'm going to put the link for the WhatsApp, for the what's next in the, give me a moment to put it in the, comments. Okay. Well, I'm going to put it in the recording as soon as I'm done. Again, have a wonderful evening or afternoon, wherever you're from, and I talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.